Mat Goldstein, today's guest, is the co-founder and CSO of DealMaker, the third fastest growing company in Canada and a standout leader in investment crowdfunding. Also a gold sponsor of SuperCrowd 23. Named one of America's most innovative lawyers by the Financial Times, Mat will share insights about his work and his superpower. I'm your host, Devin Thorpe. Welcome to the Superpowers for Good show, where we empower you. Mat, thank you so much for joining me for this conversation. I've had the opportunity to visit with Rebecca a couple of times and getting to know her in a variety of ways. And it's a thrill for me to connect with you now.
I'm delighted. Thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to this, Devin. Thank you.
Yeah. There are a lot of people doing interesting and great things in the regulation CF, Reg A world. But I don't know that anyone is doing a better job at bringing technology to bear. Tell us a little bit about the technology side of what you're doing at DealMaker.
Sure, glad to. And I think you're right. For Rebecca and I, when we started this company, bear in mind we were deep in the capital markets as attorneys. I started my career in New York on Wall Street, dealing with capital formation, capital raising, what we used to call private placements, the whole process of identifying investors and having them submit their eligibility certificates to participate in a private placement. And keep in mind as well, a lot of these investment opportunities where we're not talking about the public stock markets where you buy through a brokerage account. We're talking about private investment opportunities where people have to be invited to participate and have to be eligible because they're an accredited investor. And what we call friction, the rigmarole, the process when we were using paper and pen, it was crazy. People would, have their lawyer draft this agreement and you'd present it in a restaurant or in a hotel, and people who were invited to participate would have to fill it in by hand, and they'd fill it in wrong, and they'd have to, there's a whole life we had looking over these subscription agreements as lawyers, saying, well, these are right, these are wrong, and sending them back and trying it again. And for us, for Rebecca and I, technology was the solution. DealMaker's official name is Novation Solutions. It operates as DealMaker, but bringing technology solutions into the market was the core of our mission when we started this company, because when you bring technology, you'd be amazed at how it unlocks imagination. Oh, we'd hear, you mean you can do it like this? Oh, we'd hear, you mean you can use the internet to sell shares the same way that people on Amazon sell shoes? Well, Devin, actually you can. And that's kind of the whole point. The way the internet changed retail commerce, right? Back in the day, think back to 2012, you'd buy shoes at a store. It was very rare that a company would open a website and say, you can buy online, click this button, we'll send you your goods. Over time, it became the dominant way that people, found the shoes they wanted to buy and made that purchase and had the shoes be delivered. And our vision at DealMaker is raising capital. The sale of securities will go exactly the same way. It will be technology driven. It already is. And people will use the internet to find the type of buyer that fits what they sell, to find the community that resonates with the value prop or wants to support the founder in what they're doing. And the reason technology is the key is because the internet is a vast place. There's 300 million Americans. I mean, globally, the people who are making purchases online every day is it's a market in the trillions. And you need technology to make sure you're maximizing the opportunity, you're identifying the right people who will be the right fit for your company, you're reaching them through mediums that they connect with, You're tracking how they engage. You've got the ability for them to have a dialogue with you as well. And when you're talking about tens of thousands of people, you can't be on the phone with them. You have to have a video, you have to have engaging content, they have to be able to click. And the way they signal and build that dialogue with you, it's all technology driven. At the end of the day, one of our key realizations is if you give people the technology to build a community, they can turn that community into a source of capital. And for founders who have their vision set on big goals, impactful goals with a global scale, they're going to need capital. And so it just naturally flows. The technology is the centerpin of it all.
Yeah, it seems like the legal compliance side of this really drove a lot of what's going on in this field. And it certainly sounds like it resonated with you and Rebecca both as a problem to be solved. But part of what you've been doing really is on the marketing side. And you alluded to that in terms of using technology to find your target audience among the 300 million Americans, among the billions of people online. Can you tell us a little bit more about how your technology helps with that side of things?
Yeah, thanks for that opportunity. The technology is, think of it like a one-stop shop. It's soup to nuts. It's everything you need to run a full campaign, starting from, okay, I know, let's say your company has an environmental impact. Okay, well, there's a certain type of demographic that's going to be the natural constituency for that. You're going to build an audience based on the characteristics you believe to be optimal, right? You believe to be the basis of the connection between those people and your company. And you're going to use the technology to track how well you're doing. You may run ads in 50 different markets, and you may have one demographic in Texas responding a certain way. You may have a different demographic in Seattle responding a different way. And it's the analytics, and it's that kind of build, measure, learn mindset that the technology provides that lets you run experiments, see what's tracking, see how your community is growing, and then come back with the full force of data to say, okay, I know this is working. I'm going to increase my presence in this space. I'm going to build on the traction I already have with a certain demographic. Another way to think of it is like a funnel, right? On the internet, there's a lot of noise. You're trying to pierce that noise with a signal to say, this is what I'm selling. This is why you should be interested in me. This is my story, right? And if you succeed, you get a bite. Now you've got to turn that bite into a full-fledged member of your community. You've got to reel them in. And so you've got to look at the analytics. This person clicked once, they clicked twice, they clicked 3 times. They've opened the invitation, they've viewed the video, right? And by engaging online, what you're doing is it's a form of dialogue. You're building a relationship with a member of your community, and because the whole relationship is online, it's ultimately all technology driven.
Yeah. Wow. That is so incredibly powerful as a tool to help issuers raise money. It's incredibly important.
Yeah. In our view, look, it's the issuer who is building their community, right? Anything you're going to be successful doing, you're going to have to do a large part yourself. You're going to have a story that's authentic. I mean, you probably feel the same way. You're going to have a value prop that's fair. You're going to have an accessibility, right? If somebody asks you a question, you got to have the ability you got to answer. There's got to be some dialogue. If people want to know about you and want to engage with you, you've got to be there. And so the technology is really the only way you can build large, widespread communities from behind a computer or a desk, and reach people you wouldn't have been able to reach in those hotel meeting rooms or restaurant lobbies.
Yeah, it's super, super powerful. DealMaker's doggone successful. Let's talk a little bit about that. you've raised or helped raise a ton of money for your clients. And do I understand correctly? You're the third fastest growing company in Canada. I mean, this is
Yeah.
cool stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I think some of it is hitting the market at the right time. Like if you think about all of the attention that was in the Reddit community around GameStop and Wall Street bets, over the last few years, there's been this huge outpouring of demand from ordinary people, what we call the retail public, not high net worth individuals with wealth management accounts. Those have always been participants in the capital market, but just ordinary people who go online and shop every day on Amazon or Shopify. And it turns out they also want to invest, and they can find companies that they believe in using the internet. They don't need to be told, have I got a deal for you from a Wall Street investment bank. They can and want to be the protagonists of their own investment strategy. And as you know, because I know you've written about it, a huge number of them are focused on impact investing and have objectives that go beyond the compound annual growth rate of a stock.
Right.
And that's what we've been trying to empower people to do, is find the members of the community that really believe in them. And for every story, there's an audience that's out there somewhere.
Yeah.
We're fortunate to have partnered with very, very good issuers who have used our technology to find. I think we've got 700,000 investors have opened an account with us and made a purchase in the last few years. $1.7 billion of capital flowed in. It's a small corner of the market as a whole, but 5 years ago it was zero. So it's not nothing.
Yeah, it's tremendous. You talked a little bit about the social impact clients in your portfolio, and of course, one is Parker Clay.
Yes.
I had Ian on the show a few weeks back, and great guy, great company. Can you tell us how that's going?
I can tell you, and he can tell you. I think the end game, right? We always tell people this: you don't use our system to get rich quick. You use our technology to build a community over time, and that community is based on a respect you have for them and trust you've been able to win. So Parker Clay's launch is only a couple. It's nascent. It's early. They will build a big community over time, and we support them in doing that. They're a great example. We've had a large number of environmental impact companies, carbon related companies. We've had minority founders who, as you may know, are tend to do much better in equity crowdfunding than they would do in traditional VC or intermediated capital raises. So we look for people who are authentic and are able to tell a story and have a community that they can build. And fortunately, they seem to be coming to us.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's fantastic. I mean, the impact you have by helping people who don't otherwise succeed is just crazy, right? You take, it's the difference between 0 and 1 for an entrepreneur, right? To be able to take an idea or a tiny business and scale it up into something real with the kind of capital you can help them raise. It seems to me too, we should touch on something that is important. And that is your system is really optimized to help people raise significant amounts of money. Like I think Parker Clay set a target of $15 million on their raise, right? You don't have a lot of clients who are trying to raise $52,000 for their coffee shop. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, so we operate two businesses. We have we have the business that supports issuers who are raising relatively large amounts of money, building communities that are significant in size. And we also have an enterprise business where, on a white label basis, we provide the technology for crowdfunding portals and for communities that produce their own product and their own, have their own investment base. And a lot of those communities or a lot of those portals, they may be a good fit for founders who are looking for a ready-made community or pre-existing community or a like-minded community, and we'll power that on a white label basis. But to launch their own store, there usually does have to be an ambition to build a significant community, because the investment is significant, the returns are significant, but the investment is significant. So it makes sense at a scale. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Matt, as we think about the success you've had, and it really is impressive, I think that there is an underlying ability you have that helps you accomplish this. What do you see as your superpower?
I think that there is a continuous learning and growth that I've always identified within me, and certainly in my partner as well. And we try to bring to the company. It's a mindset that says every day I'm going to try to get a little bit better. And I think over time, the information we get from the rest of the world, if we're listening closely, will guide us to being better. Are we serving an important role? Are we doing the best we can? Are we keeping up with the times? Are we giving people what they need? Are we doing what's valued? If you're always asking that set of questions with a mindset of continuous improvement or continual improvement, I think it doesn't matter how much talent you start with, because that engine of growth will take you to places that you might not have dreamed of. Do you know the story of, the guy who says, would you rather have $1 million or would you rather have a penny that doubles every day for 30 days?
Yeah.
The guy with the penny ends up way ahead, because just a little bit of improvement every day, it starts to really build on itself. That's what I would say.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. And of course, in a more practical, realistic way, it's easy to think how we could become 1% better every week. It's 50% plus compounding every year, right? And it happens relatively quickly. We don't need to make big steps to make big steps. So it's really, I think, a profound insight that you've pointed out. Can you think of a time in your life when that tendency, that ability to keep learning has really played a pivotal role in a success?
Well, I think it underpins a lot of what DealMaker has been able to accomplish. When we started this business, Rebecca and I were lawyers. We knew and still know very well the legal complexities of a private placement. But when we really started to listen to our customers, right, that's where that power kicked in to say, oh, wait a minute, you need us to be developing what kind of functionality? And then we'd hear from the regulators, because we'd follow, what's happening at a regulatory level, and translate into, oh, wait a minute, you need us to see, you need to see us bringing what sort of compliance focus, and that dynamic has fueled our growth. DealMaker at this point owns a broker dealer. We own a transfer agent, we own a marketing company. We're a full stack payment processor, credit card, ACH, online wires. So we didn't start that way. It's only because we listen carefully to what our customers need, what the market wants. And, in Canada, we talk about trying to skate to where the puck is going rather than where it is. And that to me is the illustration of that power at work.
Yeah, that's a great point. Now, as you think about the way you have used this skill over your life and career, there must be times when you've wanted to explain to a colleague or a friend, the need for, the value for, and how to do this. How do you coach people to develop this continuous learning mentality and ability?
Oh yeah, I love that question. I mean, and one way to think about it is, in general, how do you coach anything? How do you relate to people? I always look for analogies, right? And I think sports is a go-to because sports provides like a common, viewing experience that we can talk about. It's said about a particular star, Cristiano Ronaldo. He didn't start with the world's greatest talent, but every day, every single day, he dedicated himself to getting better. And you talked about 1%. You can grow 1% a week. That's enormous, right? A tenth of that, over a tenth of that even, but every week over a 20-year career, and you're in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So I try to find analogies that work for people, or a way to use something that they know really well, like sports or a sports star, and then you can relate that way. Otherwise, it's very abstract.
Yeah. Well, Matt, I sure appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. I'm thankful for all you shared and excited to see the success you're having. Before we wrap up, would you take just a minute and tell people how they can learn more about DealMaker, how they can connect with you on social media or otherwise, and how they can, take just a second, make sure they know how to invest in a deal, make sure they know how to, start the process if they want to raise money. Take a minute, make sure we touch all those bases, if you would.
I'd love to. Thank you. DealMaker.tech. That's the main site. We do try to put knowledge into the world. We've got case studies on the site. They're available to the public. We have a great team who's ready to field questions. There's a forum on the site where you can apply for a demo or ask questions. There's videos, there's podcasts like this. We do try our best to take the knowledge we've been accumulating over years and make sure we share it with the world, because I do think that crowdfunding will be hugely impactful for founders over the next 5, 10, 20 years. And so building this community together is in all of our interests.
Yeah, it really is. And just to follow up, so if I wanted to invest in a deal on DealMaker, where do I start?
You can't.
Okay.
But yeah, DealMaker will always put the brand front and center. DealMaker will provide the infrastructure for Parker Clay. So it's really Parker Clay that's raising the capital, for example. You can invest in Parker Clay's raise. But we're different from some of the crowdfunding sites out there where you can go on the site and you can find something to buy. For us, supporting the founder and the issuer in building their own community is the core of our mission. And so you'll never be able to scroll our site and find something to buy. You have to pay attention to what's happening in crowdfunding generally, and then you'll notice that 7 of the 10 offerings that you're interested in are powered by our technology.
I see. So that's great to know. Great to know. What about if I want to raise? Where do I start? If I'm interested in raising $3 million, where do I go first?
Yeah, so that's something we can certainly help you with through the site. You've got a forum, or you've got my email, matt@dealmaker.tech, and we've got a great team happy to start the conversation.
Great. Well, Matt, thank you very, very much for taking the time to be with us today. We want to wish you every success in continuing to grow DealMaker, to continue to grow this vibrant, important industry that serves so many people in so many different ways. and especially in driving the impact that the companies like Parker Clay are having in the world. So kudos and good luck to you.
Thanks so much, Devin. Really appreciate it.
All righty, let's do some good. Thank you for tuning in to the Superpowers for Good show. Twice each week, we host changemakers who share their impact, insights, and superpowers. Don't miss another episode. Subscribe today at superpowersforgood.com. That's superpowers good.com. Be super empowered. Get your copy of the book, Superpowers for Good, as an ebook, audiobook, paperback, or hardcover edition via your favorite online retailer. Interested in having me speak to your company, organization, or association? Visit devinthorpe.com. Then let's talk. Now, keep using your superpowers for good. Together, we can reverse climate change, improve global health, and eradicate poverty.